Oh, de nada. You're welcome. De rien. In advance of my little skit, my informational video on not being able to sleep, otherwise known as insomnia. Well, if you have a mental health illness, or if you don't, or if you're just plain worked off your feet, well, join me for 4 minutes of shit. I mean, shit, yes. One of the worst things about neurodivergence, we say, or stress, or let me say, things get on top of you. A few things too many, a bit too much stress, a bit too much pressure of things. They weigh up. Does this pan out? Let's just see if this zooms out a bit. Wrong way, right way, wrong way. As far as it pans back. Basically, so far we have a cushion and my head. That's not too bad, since my head is bigger than the cushion. Comparatively speaking, the cushion looks marginally the same size as my head. So in these videos you have to deal with a man with a big head. He looks quite tired. Anyway, so as I explained numerous times to a lot of the same party, and a lot of other parties and a lot of other different people and folks out there. Hello, you people. You're all wonderful. God, you're sexy. I love you. Yeah, so right on and switched on. No, I mean, seriously, you do put up with one thing that I complain about a lot, and that is insomnia. Insomnia is not something that is chosen, believe me. Talk to anyone who has a night shift or most of the civilized world. Insomnia is at times quite painful. Now, I have a nice way of combating it, which I'm not going to tell you because it's part of my healthcare. However, it involves a lot of talking. Yeah, you heard me right. A problem, as my dad says, a problem shared is a problem halved. He also says things. Rome wasn't built in a day. He also says, I can't wave a magic wand. Things like that. My biggest advocate, my biggest... God damn it, that man. Drives me crazy sometimes, but he has the right idea. Says to me, well, they don't get up early enough, David. And I think, well, I know what you mean. I sort of can't see the wood for the... they don't get to sleep early enough either. Insomnia has the effect of making one sound slightly tired. It also makes things like little problems after a while seem completely, utterly irrelevant and not much worth worrying about. You seem to combat a lot of things during the night and face a lot of fears and to work out a lot of problems because you have the time to literally think. Or do you? So this is the big deal with insomnia. Deal with it as you may. The first thing you should do is realise that after a few days worth of it, you might actually have an issue. And the modern world is geared up to keep us, well, it's full of stimuli. It's full of ways of, keeping one so wired, so tapped into the, well, for starters, the system of tech, of the net, of mass media, of work. That really is geared to interrupt your sleep. You heard it here first. Who knew? What an interesting person. But it's the truth. I mean, I blame a couple of things, and well, screens really. We'll start there because you see, there's so much distraction in this world at the moment. But if you look at the average attention span, I noticed my own earlier when confronted with a very boring educational video on who knew. I think it was music. That's not like me. But certainly the news is most items are a flash in the pan, and they're designed to be. You heard it here as well, addictive. In other words, they'll show you some good news, and it will be moderately good news, or you'll think so. You'll also be very confused as to the fact that it doesn't really seem to have. It's more vague and flippant than you could imagine. You think, well, is it really good news? So you think you stay there for a little while longer. And then they show some terrible, horrible news. Somebody died, or somebody, there was a natural disaster, or there was, then it moves on to another kind of light-hearted, flimsy, whimsical story. And then the next thing you know, there's a report from the front of a battle, a war somewhere. You see, your brain is geared not for this sort of behaviour. It's geared for this sort of behaviour when you're in what is known as, may it be, a war zone or in a fight. And when you're watching adverts, you're also primed to believe that your attention is completely needed because they grab your attention. The human mind cannot take the sort of this stimuli, sort of overstimulation. In fact, not just overstimulation. This war on the senses that is modern media. And I've learned to switch off more than you know. Very much love music, because for music, and even then, algorithms dictate what you listen to more than you would realise. It's much more healthy to try and play a musical instrument, and the practice and the discipline that ensues that is required. There's a integral part of it. Focuses your mind into a sort of state of focus. And you also needn't worry about outside factors and influences, because whilst playing said instrument, or playing an instrument that you maybe even aren't too familiar with, and I'm saying this rules out video games 100%, absolutely, completely, unless you've got a driving test or something, or you're learning something. If you feel like you're learning something and you're absorbed, maybe. But the refresh rate of these games, where you are, one moment you're doing this, next moment you're jumping down a ravine and saving Odd Blob from the end of the world, or saving the princess, or whatever. Very nice while you're trying to have a blast at something, but late at night, no. In fact, some of them are so debilitating for your attention span. You've got to be careful that you might not actually have one by the time you've spent hours and hours and hours trying to save the princess from the end of the zombie assault or whatever. And you won't look like a prince by the end of it, trust me. I suggest exercise regimes, starting with a few bits a day, a few reps, sets of just at home working out. Anything that hones your discipline, your self-discipline. This is a long video, blimey. No, I mean every word. And reading a book, well, blimey, I can't remember the last time myself. Reading is a huge pastime of mine. I think I've read a lot in my lifetime, all things considered. And of course, this is all relatively so, but if you can read a book where your imagination is fired up, and you are going at a pace where you, let's say the words are of a meter, of a rhythm that just lets your mind work at its natural rate. You feel like, in place of a person, you might have a sort of the parts of your brain might be having a conversation with, it activates so much more, in that you are really, you're not there to learn. So when reading, you are learning, but at the same time, you're really engrossed completely in what you're doing, and and there's no refresh rate. There's no bang 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 of scene changes, and you might feel like you're having a conversation, or rather a recollection of a different time with the author, and that person might have deliberated for hours on end upon how these characters would touch your heart, and how these characters in any sort of book would eventually go on to change the world, even though they didn't exist, or maybe they did. Maybe they were part of a fantastical account of something that truly did occur. I always go back to Dickens as a huge inspiration for me, because his characters are so fully formed, or rather so human. Thomas Hardy being another of mine favourites, and some classics. I've read a great deal. If you've seen such a film as I don't know, Lord of the Rings, or so something like that. You might already think the story, but these events